Okay, works this time. Welcome everyone. Call the meeting to order. It is 7:01. Okay, just for our minutes, I just want to note that Annie will not be here and Katie and Nicole will be late. We do have a quorum, so just to note. I also wanted to offer a couple reminders for the trustees. We still have the 2.5-hour training requirement. So I don't know if people, people will do it on their own. I just want to remind everyone. And that does not include the sexual harassment training that we're also required to do. It's a New York State mandate. So for those of you who don't get that through work, I think most of a good number of people do. Because we don't work.
Well, we work.
Yes, right.
We just don't get paid for the work we do.
Exactly. So the library will be offering it online, I believe, this September.
Online.
Okay, yeah, for those of us who might need that.
There is homework with it. You'll
Yeah.
have to fill out the sheet because
It's okay.
there's a component of interaction. Huh? It's in September.
And one other thing that I just wanted to note, for committee minutes and your chair, okay, Katie's not here, she's a chair. So for the chairpersons, committee minutes, we need to have them the week of the committee, or the week of the meeting, so shortly after the meeting, because the timing for preparing the agenda for the following meeting. So those of you who are chair people, keep that in mind, and if it presents a problem, just let me know, we'll figure something out. So we could go through the motion for the minutes of last month. We have a quorum here, so everyone received the minutes in their packet. I do want to note that the draft did not go out to us earlier due to timing issues, and we did put it up online in accordance with the law. Yeah, open meetings law. Yep. So Cammie is not here, but I will entertain any questions that anyone might have, because I did have the luxury of reading minutes. Did anyone have any questions on the minutes? Last one. Okay, then I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the March 19th, 2024 Library Board meeting as presented. Michael, maybe a second. Charlie seconds. All those in favor? Okay. Guess there's none opposed because there's no one else here, so 4 in favor. Motion passes. Do we want to do our liaisons next? So
Yeah.
I think that would be a better. So let's see. Walter's not here. Jim, do you have anything for us?
I'm really connected directly to the library.
Okay. Are there any upcoming events that the library should know about?
There is the Memorial Day parade.
So does the town look for groups to?
They do.
Okay.
They do.
Is the library ever participated? Do you know?
I know of. I'm not sure.
You know, so do you have, maybe you could, if you don't have the date, or?
I do have that information.
Yeah.
Or all the contact info as well.
It's Lisa.
Is 25th, 10 a.m. It's going to begin at the East Greenbush Bowling Center on Columbia Turnpike and work its way to the VFW post on Hayes Road. Your organization would like to march and be in the parade. Lisa O'Brien is the contact, 518-477-4194.
Thank you. Yeah. Anybody have any town-related questions? Okay. Thank
Do
you.
we know, like, I know it's a state road, but I know there's been a hubbub about getting your floor paved. Yeah, I'm sure that'll be a question for you
Yeah.
too, so.
So lots of emails on that. So 9 and 20 and 4 are both state roads, so it's not a town road for the town to take care of. But, most likely, they're working with the state of New York to get those regular roads paved. And I think we would be lucky and have 9 and 20 paved, but I do not think 4 will be paved.
That's more, I don't know, of course. Thank you.
How about our county tomorrow?
I had a nice conversation with our newly confirmed aging commissioner, Darcy Casey. She is thrilled of the opportunity to work with the library in conjunction with the new senior center that's going in East Greenbush. So we can schedule a meeting with her anytime you'd like. It should be a great opportunity sharing services with the county, the library, the town, for programs at the senior center. They're saying the senior center should be open in December. I'm always pessimistic, so I'll say January. So we're gonna bring next spanking new start to the year.
I would think a month is optimistic.
Well, okay. Okay, thank you. Yeah. So let's say February then, but I'm looking at first of the year, hopefully we'll get a better handle on it. It might be earlier. The supply chain issues apparently aren't as bad as they were for construction, but the costs have skyrocketed, unfortunately. So there's some discussion regarding that. But the county is still in pretty solid financial condition due to the gasoline prices and other high prices, because the sales tax revenue comes back to the county off of those things. That's all I got. Questions?
Same question.
I have a special attachment to 9 and 20 because the worst spot is in front of Hoffman's Car Wash, where I make my turn to go into my street, and I've learned now they just kind of patched it up a little bit, but I've kind of learned to weave and everything. It's kind of an interesting thing. Route 4 is apparently on the list. We've had some contact with DOT. It's on the list, but when they tell you it's on the list, that's, they're not telling you it's ready to go. They're telling you it's on the list. But
Every road is on the list.
yes. We're trying to keep working with them to see if they can at least go in and at least patch portions of it up. Because some of the places near the apartments are pretty bad still. I mean, you gotta kind of weave and it's the potential for an accident is pretty, pretty horrendous. Also, the school district, we've been in contact with them. I think they're reaching out to DOT as well, because the buses are having a hard time with Route 4 in particular. So I'll stay tuned. If I hear anything else, I'll report back. But Jim's right, it is a state issue, but we're trying to apply some have some conversations with the state as best we can. And I know the town's doing that as well.
We think they do it with the state garage right there.
You think? Yes, you would think. It's certainly convenient.
Every one of their trucks goes in and out of there every day.
Yeah.
The road condition keeps my email inbox.
I just did a major repair on my car, so from most likely these potholes, so will, but I'm not gonna write you guys about it because I know it's a state road, so. But I figured while I got you here,
Well, don't keep the pressure on because we're still, whoever you can get a hold of.
Good thing about having these guys here.
that's true, I get it.
Keep doing it, yeah. Because we'll whine, not Jim won't whine, but I'll whine to the state people and say, look, I'm getting absolutely hammered by complaints, which is true. And, you know, wherever you go, I even go to the library and I get a complaint about the road, so it's.
So I'm safe here.
You got somebody lives right on Route 4.
No, you know, anytime you run into anybody, keep it going. I mean, it's certainly something everybody's aware of, sure. Yeah, obviously.
And then going back to my other
The
thing,
light.
the light, how did we end up with that?
No change.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter now,
Now
it's
that-
just the
now-
winter time, that's the issue.
Yeah, people, one of the people whose photo is on the light loves the light. Thinks it's a very illuminating thing to have there, so.
Narrowing it down a bit, so.
Yeah,
I know who to contact.
So we had the discussions about that as well, and the light is gonna be staying the way it is.
Okay.
So we'll have the issue again once it starts getting into the late fall and early winter. But right now, it's not so bad. Just because of the nature of the earth's movement and the sun and the moon and.
Yeah, I see this. Okay, any more questions for Tom? Thank you, Tom.
Oh, thank you.
Just so you know, Julianne, we changed up our agenda a little bit, so we're doing liaisons. We're going to open UHLS. Back to you. Kim, although she is not here, she did send a little write-up on UHLS happenings. Their annual meeting was held, annual meeting will be held on Wednesday, June 12th. A number of us went to that last year. That's a good networking event for those of us in the library. Location has not been determined at this point. I'm going to read what Tammy said, which is good. It's a great evening of friendship and award presentations, as well as snacks and drinks. All are invited and welcome. 2 members from the Mohawk Valley Library System and the South Adirondack Library System attended the UHLS Board of Trustees meeting last week. They made a presentation regarding the Schenectady County Public Library's decision to step back from their participation in the shared joint automation agreement.
Oh, yeah.
That's, and you were involved.
No, this is different. This is, so 2 other systems are, we do some shared services with ebooks, but this is different.
Outside of our system.
These are outside. This is outside of our system. Schenectady County Public Library is part of Mohawk Valley Library System.
Well, they're more.
They're
Okay.
Mohawk, they're not part of Upper Hudson.
And then there's Adirondack,
And
and
then
then what's the other one, Mid
Southern
Hudson?
Adirondack, Mid Hudson. Yep, those are all,
Southern Adirondack, that's where Saratoga.
yeah. So that they have a shared services agreement
Okay.
with Southern Adirondack. So Schenectady has said that they want to pull out of delivery services and a shared collection.
And they do that as part of the system, sorry.
Well, they're not part of our system,
But,
so.
but their
Any
system.
By law, they have to be a part of a library system. So each of the library systems are chartered to serve a certain area. It could be rechartered for a different service area. It's a pretty interesting thing that's happening.
Is there a reason?
I've heard so many sides. The side that what they're saying is that they want more flexibility. They want it to be, so what's Schenectady is saying is they're asking to join Upper Hudson.
I was
And they're
wondering.
saying that they basically in Mohawk Valley Library System, they have very sort of stringent requirements and every library operates the exact same. There's not as much flexibility within the member libraries. And they have suggested that Mohawk Valley Library System is not complex enough to be able to handle their IT infrastructure. And so Schenectady County is a county library, so they wanted to have the county operate their IT in Mohawk Valley is saying the county is not. It's by their agreement, there's no third party vendor, you know, it's not a vendor, it's a county, but there's no third party that's allowed to. So they're saying it's a privacy issue, so there's some, you know, there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of, you know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting though, because it's a shared
See how it
services.
shakes out.
Yeah, because, I mean, everybody's always talking about doing shared services, and we actually had a little bit of a conversation last year, I think it was, with technology. So that is interesting, I guess. that's
So
just-
Schenectady is a county system.
They're a county library system. So what that means is Niskayuna, Dwaynesburg, Schenectady City, they're all part of the same library, one board. It's a county, they operate under the county. So it's very different
Well, it's a
than
lot of
here.
parts of the country are like that.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's not uncommon.
It's not uncommon. I mean, if you think about our service area, it's a county service area.
Mhm.
It's not.
There's two counties, it would add another county if they joined us.
So if they were to join Upper Hudson, it would be a tri-county
three-county
system, not a
system.
two-county. And I'm not sure if they've asked to fully join Upper Hudson. Does it say? Because there wasn't that many.
She said in the shared joint automation agreement, so I don't know.
I think the first step that they've asked.
Resource
they've
sharing
asked to-
agreement,
they've-
not
They've
the
asked to join our ILS as resource sharing.
Yes.
Which is what they have done with Southern Adirondack Library System.
Yeah.
Which would just be delivery. There would be no other sort of. I'll be a full member.
Yeah, it says resource sharing. Interesting. 2HLS, does anybody have any questions for Jill? Because I certainly only have this sheet to work off of.
I'm very interested in it, and the directors are very interested in it. We have a lot of questions. Because it has the potential to impact us significantly, and it, you know, it's not something that we want a hurried decision on. We'd like some, you know, some real thought behind, you know, what's the impact? Is it gonna make, would it make services better or worse? You know, how long would it take to get a book?
Yeah.
You know, what's there's some, you know, there's some real potential pros and potential cons, but they really need to be studied. So, following it closely and hoping that this
I
proceeds
apologize,
thoughtfully.
but, so they're doing book sharing now with Adirondack and Mohawk? No, they're in Mohawk,
They're in Mohawk,
Mid-Hudson,
but they have a shared services agreement,
with Mid-Hudson and Adirondack.
which is,
Southern
we
Adirondack.
do have a shared services agreement for our ebooks with these other systems,
Yeah.
but not with delivery, not with our
How do they
physical
do
items.
delivery? That's a huge region to deliver.
And that's probably one of the big issues, I would imagine.
I mean, that would be it's a huge unknown for what the impact would be on.
I mean,
For us.
Schenectady County would be one thing to add on.
Well, it would not, for what they're asking, it would just be Schenectady County. They're sort of going independent right now without necessarily a real plan in place with what comes next. So they can have a shared services agreement with anybody. They have not asked to join us. But what that effectively would do in reality is make Mohawk Valley Library System not really, they wouldn't be able to run. I mean, that's
I
the
was gonna
central
say, not
library,
very
it's,
viable.
you know, it's not very viable. So there would end up over time, most likely be merging and, you know, it's a real game changer. And I don't know how it'll shake out, but it was kind of surprising for us. Yeah,
I don't wanna spend more time on it, but my thing is, why don't they just say, okay, we're the big dog in Mohawk Valley and take control of the thing and make it right?
I don't know the details, I don't know, I have not been privy to the, I haven't spoken to the director there myself, so I don't know the ins and outs of what's really going on.
Thanks. Julianne, and the friends.
Okay, well, we had a book sale, went well, very, very smooth. We had 37 different volunteers, including Charlie. And 133 hours were represented as volunteers, so that was a great turnout. We used Made Men again, they were very efficient, and that was everything. We were in the building within an hour, we had everything out of the shed into the building. And then we also spent another hour clearing out the CD furniture, and they hauled it away for the library, which was great. We held our first private VIP sale for the upper level donators. So it was the first time we did it. 68 people qualified, and we only had about 17 show, but we were pretty happy with the first time going through. So it was a great turnout for the first time. We did the cookout with the cop on Saturday, which was very well received. They said they served about 75 people, which was great, even with the weather being what it was. So it was a great turnout, something we want to do again in the future, try to bring up the afternoon sales. So overall, the sales were down from the spring sale. Our inventory was also down. The feedback we got from patrons was that the selection wasn't there. And that's because what comes in is definitely changing. It's, or not changing, maybe, it's just as old as it used to be. And we're not getting a lot of new, especially in the nonfiction area, most of them getting very tired, very old. So we're keeping an eye on the trend, and we're hoping to increase in-house library sales, our ongoing sales, making that a bigger event, and then perhaps down the road, maybe a year or two down the road, maybe only one set instead of two. The perception issues that they want people walking in, the room's not full, but they can actually get to the books. So it's a toss up, but they're just so used to 3 levels deep on the floor. We're having a tough time getting to realize that we didn't see these books this year, so isn't that great? But anyway, went well. We are starting a Mother's Day flower sale starting on May 1st. This is a new fundraiser we're doing. We modeled it after what we saw Colony Library doing. So these are book page flowers. We take some books that we were going to discard and turn them into flowers that the kids can buy for their moms or grandmothers or whatever on Mother's Day. So May 1st through Mother's Day will be on sale. See if that's a new fundraising happening for us. Basket sales continue to be strong, and those at the front desk. We have lots of ideas. I think that's pretty much what we got going on. So, any questions for the friends?
You had a great turnout at the Friends meeting. You're getting good attendance at the meetings. Gee.
Yeah, it's a very active community, but
Yeah.
they don't want leadership roles.
Well, baby steps, you know, to work
Yeah,
out.
what are we gonna do?
I met one of the women who was a friend at the Janae PTO meeting yesterday.
Yeah.
I think you could probably get her to step up.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know her name.
It was probably Diana, and she's already on mine.
Okay, I think it's probably hers.
Yeah. She did mention she was going to go to the PTO meeting. So.
Yeah, then that's definitely hers.
I already drafted her, I got it.
Okay.
But nice turnout. I mean, with the potential for board members too. I mean, I would think. Yeah.
I have, based on being at the Friends meeting, I have a question for Jim and Tom. You're talking about how you get the word out, and certainly there's things that in the library where we're often looking to get the word out. So is there like some process in the town or the county where I advertise is probably the wrong word, but if you market things that are happening within your community?
I think they, you know, I'm new to this, but I think they do rely on their webpage quite a bit. They post things to their webpage. So I'm sure, you know, that folks wouldn't mind linking some additional information on there.
What about the old sandwich board signs that they used to be able to put out?
Yeah, people still do those too.
What's
I'm
the
not-
process
I'm
for getting,
Not sure.
that would be
I'm not
something
sure.
that I think people saw
You
the
know what it
drive
is?
on.
Yeah, but I talked to the council members on the town board, that technically you're not supposed to do it, but Dave Grunberg, he said, just put them up,
Yeah,
you know, and you know, don't put them up 6 months in advance, but put them up like a week or two in advance, you know,
Yeah,
those
so
pivotal
take
things.
that down.
Yeah.
The big thing is take them back down.
Take 'em back down, yeah.
So,
Cause you, and we all know what the good locations are, I mean, put them up there. And with the county, I mean, it's the, a lot of Facebook pages,
Yeah,
the media stuff, yeah.
And then we could put one at the town hall where when we did the budget vote, we had one of our signs.
Yeah.
You know, just something that people are going up and down the turnpike to see.
I think sometimes the school district pushes things out too through the PR, they have public relations, communication specialists, so
Yeah.
quite often we push things out in newsletters that go out.
School district?
Yeah, yeah. So that's Mark Adam that
Yeah.
you could contact through the school system.
The student works super close with Mark.
Yeah,
And one of the great sign locations is right at Cal's Corners, the mobile station is right in there. Cause it's on the way to the library, Route 4, of course, too.
You know,
You
we're
have to
not
slow
gonna do
down
that
now.
because the people in the circle don't know what the heck they're doing.
Well, that's a problem.
I don't wanna give another distraction, because if I were the police, I'd be annoyed if someone would decide to.
Well, just off of there.
My lighted billboard, how do you get on
Put it on a
that?
billboard maybe, request it,
Okay.
yeah. Cause we're looking, we don't wanna get into a situation with a billboard where you're advertising a bunch of different things.
We've tried.
But, yeah, it's a work in progress.
Thank you. Okay.
Oh, and I have cookies, if anybody wants a cookie, we should cover our meeting. They're very good.
Thank you. Well, I think we're gonna have to move forward with,
tracking
yeah.
it.
Well, I can also cover the committee reports because we didn't have any committee meetings this month. But I wonder, do you want to do a facilities update? We'll do that for your director's report. Would you like to do that?
I can, do you want me to do the director's report?
Sure.
Sure, yeah. So before I start, any questions about my report?
I have two things, they're not questions, but I loved two things that the library did this past month. One was the warming and charging stations. I thought it was great. Because I don't know how many of you lost your power, but it's not fun, yes, and I thought that was fabulous, and I'm sure it was very well received. So great job. And the other thing, I also thought too, it was a nice collaboration with the town, so very good. And then the Eclipse programs, I couldn't believe how many people were here and looking for, glasses, and it just was amazing to me. So I thought that was a huge hit. So again, another great job. So thank you.
I will pass that on.
Please do.
We're very proud to.
You should be.
I'm very proud.
Should be, yeah.
So kind of piggybacking on, or just let's go into details, a few details about the power outage. So the power outage was on March 24th, I believe. And the library had power. We were lucky this time. Sometimes we don't have power, and it's great. It was a huge resource to have power. I do think it's something that we ought to consider for perhaps a future grant, a full generator, because we're getting more and more of these storms, and it was very highly received and seemed to be pretty essential.
Life saving, gosh, yeah.
Yeah,
I think it'd be a good thing.
Yeah.
so we had,
Now, the high school, originally, I remember back when I was working on those projects, the generator was gonna make the high school a sanctuary place in power outages. But I don't know if they do anything.
so we were open our regular hours on Sunday. It was about a 55% increase over our typical Sunday hours. And I had messaged with Elaine, our chief of police, in the morning. We were going back and forth a little bit, and it was just very quick. Great, we'll put it out. And I think that helped get people here so that they knew that we were open. And community members were grateful, kind, there were no, because there's not many outlets and people were very generous, and leaving their things plugged in everywhere and nobody stole anything. And it was just a real, I think, community bonding kind of experience for everybody that was here. There was some confusion about being a charging station and some folks, expected that we had specific charging stations versus just plugs available. So we've talked about, perhaps do we consider adding that to our budget?
It's terminology.
It's
It
terminology,
should have been a charging location
charging location.
rather than a station. Station would imply that you
Have that machine that charge.
Right. But it also seemed that people were also looking for that, which was interesting, and kind of surprising. So that was interesting to us. We did, so on Monday, I'm actually really proud of our staff for this, because on Monday, a lot of locations in East Greenbush, power was coming back on, but not everybody had power. And Monday, we were supposed to be closed, and we had been marked because it was staff development day. And we had gone out to the community for weeks, letting people know that the library was gonna be closed. And we decided that it was a better idea for us to be open.
Who came up with that idea and that you cancel your staff development day for that day, and open the library for people to come?
Well,
I'm just trying to think of who would come up with an idea to do that. It's great.
Yeah,
I
a
mean,
strategic plan.
we worked collaboratively together. We have a team, and
I know that answer.
we have a team and we work together.
Mhm.
And it was my leadership and staff and board. And I think it was the right decision. We didn't have more people than we normally have. We actually had a decrease in our number of visits, but I do think that's because we had been telling people for so long that we were gonna be closed.
Yeah.
So I still think it was the right thing to do. I can't imagine someone not having power and they come up to the door and then we're all in here. There's 40 cars in the parking lot and we're like, sorry, we're not letting you in. So we do have another staff development day already scheduled for October. We looked at trying to do another one. Originally, we were just going to adjust and reschedule it, but it's tricky and there is no day that we can do that right now without having significant impact on other things. So we're gonna stick with one staff development day this year for right now. And
Jill, can I share some feedback just as a community member at large?
yes,
The weird thing that I heard from multiple people was that 5 o'clock, both you and the town hall were closed. So as the sun was going down and they were getting cold, they had nowhere to go at that point. And I think maybe more on the town than on you, but there should have been a place that went longer into the evening, especially for some of our senior citizens that just didn't know what to do with themselves at that point. From a safety standpoint, to go to a dark house to senior citizens.
It's very good.
I think that's really good.
If you're going to be a sort of a safe haven type of place,
Right.
it should be 5 o'clock.
I think we need to really think about that and plan for these kinds of things so that if we are gonna do that, we have a plan in place that we can implement, what's our minimum staffing, what's it gonna look like, how are we gonna do it? And then we can do something like that. But this was the first time we even kind of used that terminology.
I know.
So I think it was.
And did any discussion come up during the earthquake? I know we weren't affected, but was there any thought of if there is a problem with services, the library would again step forward?
I think we should be stepping forward if we can. I think it's something that we need to consider and perhaps that's a
At this
services
point,
committee
we're really
discussion.
not equipped to do it.
No,
To really be that type of a place, you have to have certain equipment, certain things and all that. And it's gotta be a planned thing that you will do this. And then make the plan so that you will be open as long as the emergency exists and.
We do have to coordinate with emergency services to make
If you
sure
do
that
it
we're all
once,
in the
They were gonna
same.
start to expect it, so if you've already
That's
stepped
right.
forward, you better start coming anyway. So have a plan sooner rather than later, because if it had been something more effective or impactful. I could have seen people just default to here.
Yeah, I mean, we were open our normal hours, but I think in the future, we ought to consider
Yeah,
looking at what it would look like. And what are we equipped for, and what would it take to be equipped for something more, and can we have the capacity to do that? But it's definitely a place where people come and count on, and really important things to consider and think about, and
it'd be a good grant project. Not cheap, but it'd be a good grant project.
But also another collaborative opportunity between the town, the library, the school district, because we all have locations.
And it's not something that hasn't been done I mean, libraries have been part of this kind of essential services for a long time in other communities, so there are other models.
Are there any that you know of in Upper Hudson that do something like that?
The computer usage was up, of course, but it was a great thing. So moving on to the eclipse. I'm also really excited and proud of what kind of the work that we did for the eclipse. And so we had family programming leading up to the eclipse. In fact, one of our teen program where they painted eclipse t-shirts. I mean, that went viral. We had more than 6,000 people liking that on Facebook and sharing, hundreds of people sharing it. It was our most popular post ever. But we also did some other family events leading up to the eclipse as planned. But one of the things that we did was the youth team was getting a bunch of calls from adults asking to participate in the kids' programming. And so, you know, I think this is an output of our strategic plan. So instead of just kind of, you know, keeping it to themselves and not communicating with other departments, it was immediately, you know, hey, we have this unmet need here. What are we gonna do about this? And the departments got together and they planned a whole, you know, lineup of events for that day. And it was great. Because it was sort of last minute, we did have to involve staff from all over the library to make it happen. And, you know, staff that aren't typically doing programming out in the back or admin area were involved, and it was a real true team event. It was great. We had several hundred people that were out on our lawn for the eclipse viewing. We had at least 200 calls, and I'm not overestimating that number that morning, last minute, just that morning, asking for the glasses left. But we did save some glasses, and we had some glasses for people who walked up, and we had enough for everybody who wanted them when they arrived. The school district gave out glasses to all the kids, so a lot of families came with one pair of glasses, and they needed additional pairs for them all to, you know, be able to use them at the same time. We had the eclipse live streaming from NASA and here for folks that didn't want to be outside. And also just in case it rained. In that meeting room, and we had the door open to the outside. We had different activities for kids. For kids and families, we had these little cards that were laminated with facts about the eclipse, like which thing is the hottest. It would, you know, the sun, a shooting star, boiling water, all these things, and you know, so you had to put them in order. And a lot of the fun facts were challenging to get the order. They were surprising, and so it led to some good conversations with the community and some learning experiences, and it was just a great day. I'm really proud of our staff for that, and folks were excited, right?
I'm sorry, I wasn't there that day,
Oh,
so I
you weren't
can't.
there that day.
I can't say it. That's right, you weren't there that day.
I have one thing related to that. I like your comment, look at all these people, you guys should do things like this more often, you just create a community.
Wasn't that great?
As soon as you figure out how to have monthly eclipses.
Well, I mean, there's always astronomical events going on a monthly basis, so if you wanna capitalize that way, you theoretically could. Like, I think there's a meteor shower going on right now, the Lyric, or something like that. Or like when the Perseids come up in the summer, or things like that, you might be able to swing, I'm just a science junkie, so. I went to the Path Totality for that one.
Did you?
It got cloudy right at
So the other thing with this is I think we capitalized on like a real community interest at that point of time. And we were able to kind of adapt to something that was right there, and sort of pivot, so I thought that was good. We do have the year-long reading challenge going on right now for adults, and that is new for us, and we're excited about it. We have termed it BLARC, Book Lovers Adult Reading Challenge. We had a lot of people sign up, and there's a different theme for every month, and there's a chance for some pretty great raffles at the end of it. And it's getting a lot of participation. We had over 100, the numbers in my report, I think, but we had over 100 people just in the first 3 days register for it. So that's great, and this is over time. We've had these summer programs and these winter programs, and now folks are excited about a year-long program, so it's great. Other programming highlights in there that you should take a look, find your next read. I actually want you guys to, when you read the report, if you haven't already, go back and click the link, because there's a link to our website, and this is a great curated list of all different things that you can do all about reading. And it's staff picks, it's our database that we have about, you know, if you like this, if you read this and you like it, you might enjoy this. It's a whole curated page all about reading and finding your next read. So I encourage you to look at that and share it, please. We have gone, so another big thing that happened this month, we went 100% digital for our music. So what does that mean? You guys know that we were planning to de-accession every single music CD in this library and no longer lend music CDs. It was a big move, it was a bold move. It has, our lending has just dropped over, and it was down to 1% of our lending. And we decided 2 years ago, we actually defunded that budget line, so we hadn't been purchasing anything new. But that happened this month, and we did that in coordination with the Friends. Thank you so much. And actually, the Friends helped physically move the items. And I will tell you that so we did PR about a week before, but before the PR went live, you know, I had told the board, we told the Friends, you know, and it just word gets out. That is a lesson of marketing, because somehow word of mouth, when things are a secret, even though it wasn't a secret, it's exciting. And so we had people coming to check out CDs for, you know, I mean, like in hundreds of CDs, people checking them out because they knew that if they had them, then they could just keep them afterwards. So we did, there were some folks that were not East Greenbush residents, and we kind of, you know, said, okay, you can have a maximum of this amount, but we made some exceptions if you lived in East Greenbush, because there is a small segment of our community that still has a CD player in their car and really loved the collection. So they were pretty happy that they were able to, you know, when one person came in, and he's pretty regular, and he said, you know, I came in to complain and to say that I was really upset about this, but, you know, now I'm walking away with all these CDs, and this is great. I'm not mad anymore. What were you gonna say, Jim?
It's a generational thing. And there is a group that is out there that I've heard several complaints about.
Have you? Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Denise came in the other day, and as she was about to check out a book, there was a woman in front of her and said, I can't believe you're discontinuing the CDs. So there's a group out there, and if the concept of I have a tough time just deleting it because it's there, it was a library and a certain segment of the population still want it. And I know it's gonna follow suit very quickly with the DVDs and
We're not even close to the DVDs. I think in several years, it went. Well, I mean,
It will.
DVDs went from like, more than half of our circulation. Now it's probably a quarter of our circulation, so it's dropping, but it's still
dropping, but,
significant.
you know, just because it's a small group, they're important citizens too.
But on the other hand, don't you have to consider, you have a finite amount of funds.
Well, you're not buying new ones if you just keep the old ones and, you know, it's do the old ones and so on. You don't have to do the new things. It's.
Mike, I'm old enough to remember when that happened with 8-tracks.
Yeah, I know. Me too.
And there's still other libraries that
And then
have.
there were cassettes.
Yeah, cassettes, yeah.
There are, so we can still, interlibrary loan them, so we can still get the CDs, we can still get CDs for folks.
We did, offer other libraries to, help. Although I would tell you that they were taken from our community, pretty quickly. And yeah, so it is we said in our strategic plan that we were gonna prioritize people over objects and we were gonna make some tough decisions. And this is something that we knew was not gonna be perfect. And that was going to be tough. But we do have a limited budget. And so we have these additional, real true demands with the digital that are costing money. And we also have space issues where we're really trying to find space for people to be in the library. And that was a pretty significant space for that collection. So, we had been kind of slowly, our original plan was to slowly deaccession them over years. And that takes a lot of staff time to process them and weed them and get rid of them. And nobody was noticing. When we were doing that, and we've been doing that for 2 years and nobody was noticing. And so that said a lot, but of course, when we went out with this news, people did notice. So we'll see. I haven't gotten formal complaint to me. I think I'm sure there are people that have.
I think the only question we got for sale was, how could they access the library, the electronic versions of those?
Oh, great.
We didn't really have an answer, because they didn't know if they had a certain card. I'm like, do you have Libby? And they couldn't answer that question. I'm like, so there might be an educational piece of how do you now access.
Yep.
The online.
So there is a QR code, but we can help people at the reference desk. There's signage out there with a link to how to use, it's actually Hoopla. And one of the things, before we got rid of the collection, we actually looked at what was still going out in the collection. Because if there were things that were sort of nuanced collections that weren't available digital, and that, it was like you really were looking at, these classics or these things that you really can't get anymore, then that's a reason to still kind of have that collection. But what was circulating were popular music. That's all available digitally. And people are checking that out digitally. So it is kind of a shift. So we do have that via Hoopla, and so that's the next piece, is really educating people on how to access that. Now that is something that only East Greenbush residents and Skodak residents can access. There is a cost for that, and our digital collections are not available for non-residents, not in our service area, so that's. But we can still put CDs on hold and have them delivered in 2 days for folks. And they're not in high demand, so it's not like there are gonna be hundreds of other holds and it's gonna take weeks. It'll literally take 2 to 3 days to get the CD that they want here.
I had a question on something that I didn't see in the report. It's the leaking roof. I don't know if you want to address that. So
Sure. Was that in between these reports?
I think so.
Feels like it
There was a
months ago.
leaking roof.
So we had We had several leaks in the library. One leak has been solved. That was actually not a roof leak. It was a different leak with a heat pump. It's fine, it's fixed. The other leak was more significant and went into the admin area and the tech services storage area, and a lot of things were damaged from that. We were able to save them, but a lot of our drawings over time were wet and we saved them. They're crumbled, wrinkled now. But it also allowed us, remember we had all those rolled up plans and we said, someday we're gonna go through these and see how many we need. Well, we had probably 5 copies of everything, so it allows us to only keep, a smaller amount of copies of everything. But we still haven't figured out where the leak, it's interesting, we still haven't figured out exactly where the leak is coming from because it has not leaked since, even with these heavier rainstorms. It's right where the drain pipe is for the roof, and it's possible that there was an ice jam, maybe, and then when it melted, it just came through. Or perhaps there was a very slow leak for a very long time that was just up in there, and then all of a sudden it just let loose with a big, but
So
it has not leaked since.
flushing leak?
Huh?
It was like a flushing leak?
It was just like a flush, and then it wasn't leaking later. So
We should talk about it a little.
I've been talking about it with our architect who is,
Okay.
we've been talking about it, and he's very perplexed with why we can be part of that discussion. But so the plan is that when it's actively leaking, we're gonna call the roofer to come to see what's happening when it's actively leaking, but it has not actively leaked. So we've got it open still, the ceiling in that area, so that when it leaks with the bucket underneath, we can capture it, we know, and see, but it hasn't happened. We thought for sure when all the snow melted and then we had that heavy rain that we were gonna get more leaking, but we haven't. It's very interesting.
Plan for the future construction.
Well, it was a little worrisome because at first we thought, oh geez, we might have to, we had all these places, but we're not related to each other. Only one seems to be related.
There's a lot of water circulating in the ceiling. And so there's a lot of connections and things in places that can leak. So while, yeah, if it's coming from above, we think it's the roof, it's not always the roof.
Right. I mean, the other one
You
was
have to figure it out.
a fitting was missing, and so it was a teeny tiny drip leak that was just going on for a long time. It's just minor things that.
Anybody have questions for Jill regarding her report? Did you have any other?
No, I think we can move on unless you want to have anything else.
Could we do that motion in this section, or is that something that's?
Okay. I did want to also just note that Nicole and Katie got here.
I had 7:33, Katie 7:36.
You're being watched closely.
Hey, look, open meetings law says I gotta report what time they arrived.
It must be Katie.
I saw our car there. Shoot. No, were you together?
No.
Were we?
I was like,
And then I wasn't.
Oh.
Were you up to me?
no, my mom went to the meet, I was at cabaret night.
Oh, okay. Then we were not together.
Well, you'll be happy to know that we saved the treasurer's report for you.
Oh, okay.
Just went a little bit out of order.
Yeah.
Okay. So is it my turn?
Yeah, I think so. I found the reports this month actually to be incredibly straightforward. I rarely have 0 questions, and this month I did not have any.
So the library, as usual, is in good financial standing. And then you'll see the noteworthy expenses over $1,000 listed for both the warrant and the off warrant. If anyone has questions, go ahead. No, everyone else felt straightforward too? Okay, awesome. So then we have motions, but before the motions, just again, a reminder that the budget committee meeting dates have been set. They're listed here and the time is going to be 3 o'clock. Members also listed. Jill and Mary and I hopefully can chat tonight and set up like a pre-meeting to get prepared for our first budget meeting on May 2nd. Otherwise, I just have some motions. Okay, then I will make a motion to accept the off warrant in the amount of $122,262.69 for the period of March 12th through April 8th as presented.
Candy said she made.
She made the motion,
Okay,
I
Michael
second.
second. All those in favor? Anybody opposed? No, 6.
And
6
then,
in favor. Okay,
okay.
motion passes.
And then I have a motion to authorize the signing of the warrant for March 12th through April 8th in the amount of $43,139.84.
As presented. I'll second.
Nobody likes my motion?
I'll
Thanks.
second it. Okay, all those in favor? Anyone opposed? 6 in favor, motion passes.
And then finally, a motion to approve the April 8th financials with 27% of the year completed as presented.
Okay. Sure. All those in favor? 6, anyone opposed? None? Motion passes. Thank you. I just also wanted to mention in here, it kind of relates to the AUD report that's due on the 30th of April, right? The auditors have been looking at it. So Jill didn't have it back in time for her to present it to us to approve at this meeting, so we'll just do it retroactively next month. Okay. Volunteers, oh, we have a personnel memorandum, no. Yeah. We did the liaisons. To the business.
Did you have one in your report? You want to finish off?
That's part of your business.
There.
Yeah. So, want me to do this first? Okay, so for new business, Jill and I discussed, as you all, I think, talked about at the last meeting when we had the issue with the smell in the library and the public, or the media inquiries. So we thought it would be good to have a motion where we authorize just a spokesperson for the board for the library, so that it's clear, and so that way if you get media inquiries, you will have.
You have an excuse.
Yeah,
Send them to someone else.
yeah, exactly. And I thought it went along with the board speaks as one voice. I have no vested interest because I'm the president. I mean, I just think it's the president's job. And certainly Jill knows what's going on in the library, and typically whatever's going to be inquired about, she'll be able to answer it. So we thought it would be good to have a motion for that.
We have like a board specific email address that we could put out. Or, I mean, we have like, well, I know yours, but like one that doesn't necessarily have your name on it, so like if for future Yeah, in general, because a lot of schools will do that, they'll have Board of Education, they'll like at EG or EGCSD.org, I'm just picking one at random, and I don't even know if this is correct, but maybe having a generic email available. You can say for all inquiries direct, or if you want to make a speech at the, or to submit remarks for the meeting or things like that. Maybe have a generic email address or use director.
So we do have for public comment, that's on every agenda. That, you know, submit an email with your comments, be read aloud, and that's it tonight.
Are you,
I'm talking about like a similar concept, basically, that would be like something that, but like also for media inquiries or things like that, just somewhere on the website, say, this is where you email, like not necessarily, you know, and say like.
It has to be monitored, can't be a black hole.
No.
And we don't wanna create us, like, we'd have to have it be an overlay, we don't wanna create a special account that we're purchasing
Right.
for the
Could
one-off.
it, like, would it be
media
something that could
increase.
be forwarded to whoever the
Yes.
president is, like that sort of thing?
Yes,
So
I can take a look and see, I think that's a good idea, I can, we're working on a website, we'd like to include in the 2025 budget, or if that's what we're working on, we'll see how it goes. We'd like to have a website updated, because there's a lot of things we need to change on here to make it easier to use. But we'd have to figure out where that belongs, where that goes, but that's a really good suggestion for us to consider. You know,
I'm also thinking maybe there's a flip side to that, and if you would just have, you know, any inquiries regarding library matters, or you could just still have it as director at EG Library, that would work too,
Yeah.
right?
Because if you're making this motion and we do pass this motion saying that Joe and yourself or the president in the future are the people, then you want them to have those emails coming to them directly.
it could be as simple as our contact us page has, you know, for what to do for an account, suggestions, meeting room, books. We have others, so we could just say media inquiries.
You could still go to the same, like a person, but it will just have a different URL address or whatever.
I mean, we had some of it came to that, you know, address, which is monitored by Susan, which got distributed to me.
Yeah.
And that's how I learned about some.
So with that, have everyone entertain a motion, and I changed it a little bit, but motion to authorize only the library director and or board president to act as a spokesperson for public relations inquiries. I think we need to add inquiries related to the library.
So you added and or.
Yeah, but
And
also,
inquiries.
yeah. Make that motion. Thank you, Mike. Motion, and Charlie will second. Thank you. All those in favor? 6. So no one,
I was a little slow on that. I was a little slow on that.
Oh, were you motioning?
Yes,
Oh, sorry.
no, I wasn't motioning, I voted late.
Oh,
I
I'm
was
sorry.
still typing.
That's okay, I'm slow. All right, so it looks like the motion will pass. Jill, did you want to do the server migration? That's at the end here.
Okay, on the very last page of your packet is a proposal for board authorization of server replacement project. So, in a nutshell, we have a server that is no longer being supported and has failed power supply. We had a planned migration before we switched to IT companies. Our plan was to switch to a cloud-based server, and that was all in place. And then we had that, you know, big staffing change, and so we switched to a IT company that was more robust and able to handle what we needed. And in that, with this, they have had a different recommendation for us. So the recommendation is to still consider transitioning to a cloud-based server, but not for a few years. And at this point, to replace the physical server and have it be a dual server, to have some backup in there. So there is a cost, we've gotten several quotes, and it looks like the cost is approximately $12,000. But I don't have all the quotes yet, so, you know, we haven't nailed down the entire project yet, but because this is something that really shouldn't wait, I'm asking you to authorize up to $15,000. Of course, we would purchase according to our purchasing policy, so we'll purchase lowest cost for the project, and then we'll have our consulting company help with the installation and do the project management for this. Most of it is budgeted already in our in our budget line for IT. But I expect that we have a potential overrun, it'll be $2,000 to $5,000, give or take. I don't think that'll be an issue, bottom line, like later on in the year, but we're so early in the year, I just wanna, you know, let you know so that we can keep an eye on that. I think it's quite possible that we can remain within the existing technology communications line, but if we needed to move outside, I definitely think we'd be fine. Never ever been that close, bottom line, with our overall budget, but I wanna bring that to your attention.
I have two questions.
Yes.
One, will this affect the cyber insurance rider?
Like
If we don't go to cloud and if we go to the student processor instead, because I know that was I don't know if that was something they had requested to get the insurance or not. But
no, we don't have to be cloud for the insurance, but we have to have these other things that we already put in place. What this will impact is if this goes down, we shut operations down for a long time until we transition. So
I mean the current.
the current one, so we wanna move forward with this quickly. And we have basically, they have reported to us that our server policies, which is, you know, the information that we put in there for all of the different parameters with who has access to what, with the public server and the staff server and all the permissions, they're so complex that it's not time, you know, they really need more time to do it properly, to recommend the proper cloud-based solution for us. And we're not necessarily even saying that cloud-based is the right way to go at this point. We have migrated many of our things cloud, like we have cloud backups we have Teams, we have Microsoft Office, SharePoint, that's all cloud. We have a lot of cloud backups of things, but everything is running on a physical server right now, so that needs to be updated.
You said that the implementation, is that being done by TAG or by the company that?
No, by TAG.
And is that an additional charge besides what we already pay TAG, or is that included?
Yeah, no, that's an additional. So that's part, when we engaged TAG, we got a clear, we had a project cost. You know, this is how they build projects.
Okay, so this is an additional bill.
This is an additional bill. And it'll all be part of this
It's
amount
still
that you
included in
are.
that.
Yes, it up to $15,000 is included in that cost.
The $10,000, was that designated for something that we now will not be able to do?
That was designated so it was designated for computer replacements, which we purchased some of those at. So it was designated for the server upgrade to cloud, which was a lot less, and computer replacements for this year, but we did some of them early last year. So I mean, there's always more to replace, but we're not
Well, I
gonna be
just
put
wanna make
behind
sure
schedule. We're not
we're taking
behind.
the 10,000 and then in 6 months we say, oh no, we have, or that 10,000 was 5,000 for something else.
Yeah.
that we have. So,
Yeah. I mean, when things go wrong, that's the unknown, but the planned things, no.
Questions for Jill?
And they definitely said switching to cloud is not doable right now.
Not right now.
Still not comfortable with cloud.
Oh.
My dad works on cloud systems all the time, so it doesn't bother me, but like I know the fear that's behind it, but.
Now, the server, I assume, will be fully protected in a way that, and the information that is on the server, just going back to Jay, the architect's firm, they were hacked. And they were pretty well protected because a lot of things, they did two-factor authentication on everything. And a lot of stuff was stored in the cloud, so it wasn't their responsibility. So I assume what's gonna be on our server will be protected enough if we get hacked.
It's
I mean,
what's
that's-
on the server now is gonna migrate to a new
What's on the
server.
server now will migrate to the new server, and then there's a plan to secure the disposal of what's currently on there.
We just have a disk smashing.
Not disks anymore.
And is it likely to have a warranty just in case something goes wrong during the migration process or like?
Well, we have backups, we have backups daily, we have several backups, so, you know, most of our stuff is in the cloud already, but we also have backups every day of our server, so we can always, you know, restore. So that's kind of the easiest thing. The hardest thing is if the equipment fails, you can restore it from a backup, but if you don't have new equipment in the ready.
Well, this is
plan to
being
do it,
set up,
it's-
so you basically have duplicate.
You can-
We
you can-
used to call it a RAID.
Yeah, so
Array.
both of them can run simultaneously
So
during
everything.
this, and then once this one is cleared, it's all good to go, then you get rid of that one. Something like that.
Any other questions? Can I have a motion to authorize the library director to spend up to $15,000 for the server replacement project as presented? Charlie? Katie, Genesee, okay, any second? All in favor? 6, none opposed, motion passes. I have one thing I did want to mention in the new business as well. Typically in April, we would begin our director evaluation and the board self-evaluation process. Speaking with Jill, and I mean, I think all of us realize there's quite a bit going on in the library right now. We've got budget coming up, so I'm proposing that we move the evaluation process out to July and with completion in August.
For every year, though.
Well, yeah, and so, because we have to do them annually, so if we do it in July to August, that's sort of a slower
But
time
we
for the
normally
library.
don't meet in August.
Well, I don't know if you necessarily have to do it in August, and the piece that I was thinking after that conversation too, is if there's a staff component, that's a very busy time for them, so we may wanna have, you know, it can start in July, but maybe not finish it until September, so that the staff that are able to participate can do that when it's not their highest season.
Yeah, well, I'd like to see what folks do you feel about that. It's okay, or
I'm fine with that.
I think it's nice to have a window, like to say July to September, then you have the flexibility to get it out there, kind of mull about it for a little while, and then bring it back together in September when everything's calmed down.
Michael? I am, so, I think we'll do that then, so we'll switch the evaluation timeline. We'll start it in July, we'll, and plan to complete it in September. Does allow for all the input that we've looked for in the past, and we spent last year too. And what I will do is dig up the templates that we've been using, and I'm going to ask Charlie to maybe work on those with me. See if we want, and Joe actually, we talked about this as well. See if we want to tweak it a little, then we'll send it around to the full boards, the templates we're gonna use. And then the process hopefully will go smoothly.
or it's not, I guess it's kind of new business, was at Janae's PTO meeting last night. They mentioned, and I always think about this after sprinkling happens, so they're doing sprinkling in May.
What's
It's basically a huge ice cream social party that they have at the end of the school year. But there's like hundreds of people that come, kids, families, large amount of people, and they will have like balloon people and face painting, and the playground is closed, so I thought, well, maybe the library can show up and maybe sign kids up for library cards, get them excited about summer reading, like that sort of thing, since it's kind of like a celebration of any year. I don't remember the exact date, we have to get that, so we know what it is, they can't quite settle on the date. And, but I just thought that might be something that would be worth exploring, especially because it's right here. Yeah. I'm sure the other elementary schools are doing something similar if you want to expand it to Red Mountain, Green Meadow. I don't know if Belltop is.
That's good, because we do, historically, we went into the schools to do sort of summer reading hurrah, get people to sign up, and then with COVID, that kind of ended. And then it's over time, it's just been, it's hard to do that. How about an announcement, school announcements, it's just not really the same. So the more we can get in front of people and really interacting with the kids, even better for interacting with the parents.
And I have full disclosure, I'm probably gonna be there, so if you need help with booth, okay, probably be able to help with another help. Who likes to volunteer for things.
Anyone else have any new business to bring up? Okay. With that, we go into executive session to discuss a contract, so those folks who Jim and Tom.
8:19.
You're right.
See you guys, thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Can I go to the store tonight?
Yeah.
No one?
I just hope I hadn't moved something.
You guys have to make it. Yeah.
That's
So it was
awesome.
like, oh, it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was so great, yes.
Well, I'm gonna go to bed so I can get up
Yeah.
take care of it.
Okay, so first, I'd like to entertain a motion to move into executive session. Michael? Charlie will second. 8:19.
Okay, we have to.
Turn off the-